You got this. I believe in you. My name is Jake Cohen, and I am a cookbook author. I worked in some of New York's best restaurants and test kitchens. And now I consider myself the king of dinner parties. I'm obsessed with cooking for my friends. My goal is to create delicious, reliable recipes that are gonna make you an entertaining superstar. It's stunning, but so simple. Let's make this easy. Hello, gorgeous. I'm Jake Cohen, and I'm here to serve some reliable recipes for easy entertaining that are gonna taste like you tried. Today, I have two of my favorites that are going to be the stars of your next dinner party. The first is this Iraqi roasted salmon slathered with this like caramelized onion tomato sauce, packed with spices, super easy and delicious. And then these date brownies. They're extra fudgy. No one has never lost their mind over them. So why don't we get started? So the key to any good dinner party is time management. So we're gonna start with the dessert. It might seem like a little out of order, but when you can get your dessert completely done and out of the way, your life is gonna be so much easier. So we're gonna start with our brownies. It's a very simple ganache-based batter. It's gonna be super fudgy, and then these dates are gonna add the perfect little caramel bites. So I'm starting with 8 ounces of dark chocolate that I'm just gonna roughly chop. It's all getting melted, so you don't have to get too fancy with it. We're gonna melt this in a double boiler, so what that just means is I got a little pan filled with water, just like an inch or two, and we're gonna put a nice heat-proof bowl on top, and we're gonna let the steam melt our chocolate and butter. So we're going in with that 8 ounces of dark chocolate. You could use chips, but chips have stabilizers, so if you want a really good fudgy brownie, always go for the bar. And then we're gonna throw in 4 ounces or 1 stick of unsalted butter. I always go for unsalted just because I like to control the amount of salt I add into my recipes. That being said, there is always gonna be salt in any baked good. We're gonna let this just go until it's nice and melted and glossy. And meanwhile, we're gonna get the rest of the batter ready so we can combine the two. What I really love about this is that it is so easy, so fudgy. You get that beautiful balance of like rich dark chocolate with those deep like caramel butterscotchy notes that you get from dates. So it's actually inspired by this trip I had in Israel, and I was walking through the shuk, like the spice market, and I bit into this fresh date, and it was so fudgy and decadent, and it made me just think, it's like, what if I had a brownie that mimicked the texture of the date, and then the date mimicked the texture of the brownie, and then I made this, and I could never make any other brownie again. So we're gonna crack 4 large eggs. Whenever you're doing baking, I always like to make sure that my eggs are room temperature. And now sweeteners. So we're doing a combination of regular granulated sugar. I'm doing 1.5 cups. And then we're gonna add in a 1/4 cup of light brown sugar. This is gonna add more of those like caramel flavors, as well as a bit of chewiness to our brownie. We're gonna whisk this together for about 2 minutes. What most people don't realize is that the secret to that beautiful, like papery, crackly top on your brownies is making sure that your sugar is really well dissolved. Everyone eats with their eyes first, so when they see a beautiful brownie, it makes it that much more enticing. To this, now we're gonna add in the rest of our flavorings. I love this combination of both dark chocolate to give that really rich, fudgy ganache texture, but also cocoa powder. And what this does, it adds another layer of chocolate, but also it's a thickener, so you can use less flour in lieu of the cocoa powder. 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. And then a tablespoon of vanilla extract. In the same way that like every dessert, anything sweet needs a little bit of salt for the balance, I'm a big believer that anything chocolate needs a bit of vanilla for balance. And lastly, 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt. Always make sure you're using kosher salt because it's like based on the size of the grains of the crystal. We're just gonna whisk this together until it's nice and combined, and then I'm gonna check on our ganache and marry the two together. All right, over here, we're just gonna keep on swirling, getting that chocolate and butter nice and melted. And now it's as easy as we are going to marry the two together. Obviously, we have our warm chocolate and butter mixture, and I'm just gonna add that right into our eggs and sugar. And we're gonna whisk it together, and you're gonna see it immediately thickens up. The heat from the chocolate and butter is gonna start to kind of really thicken up the eggs and create this beautiful, thick, fudgy mixture. Now we're gonna ditch the whisk and switch over to rubber spatula. And we're gonna just finish it up with a cup of all-purpose flour. We don't need a ton of flour. We're just looking to hold everything together. But like I said, I want these brownies super fudgy. Don't trust anyone who likes a cakey brownie. I'm sorry. We're just gonna fold this together until just incorporated. We don't wanna overmix it, but also it's a brownie. Don't overthink it. Last but not least, we're gonna add in our chocolate chips and stir them in. Super easy batter. We're gonna get that right into our pan. I have a 9-inch square baking pan that I lined with parchment with overhang on both sides. The reason you wanna do that, it's gonna make it so much easier to pull it out of the pan so you can slice it. We're all about easy, and this is like the key. Oh my God. Honestly, I could eat this whole bowl just like this. Just spread it out nice and even. All right, now for the star of the show, the dates. I love a medjool date. Dates are one of my favorite snacks of all time, oftentimes in like a health food situation. Today, not so much, but that's because dates and chocolate are such a match made in heaven. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna pit them. It's quite easy. You could just use your hands and rip them, but a little paring knife makes it nice and clean. You just open it, pull out this little pit, and then we're gonna reclose it. And there you go. All right, we have all of our pitted dates, and what we're just gonna do is kind of lay out tracks for how we're gonna slice them later. So I want everyone to get an entire date in their brownie, so we're gonna do 16 brownies total, 4 rows of 4. And the secret ratio, let's say you're making brownies for a bit of a crowd, you could double this recipe and do it in a 9x13 baking dish. You can triple this recipe and do it in a half sheet pan. And last but not least, like I said, there is no chocolate without vanilla, there is no sweet without salt. A little flaky salt on top. It's so pretty, and it just adds that beautiful little salty crunch that pairs so well with the dates and the chocolate. This is ready for the oven now. We're gonna bake these at 350 for 40 minutes, and you're gonna see they're gonna start to crack at the sides. The top is gonna be nice and beautifully shiny and matte. And then the most important thing is you're gonna be patient. We have to let our brownies cool completely before we cut them. I cannot wait for you to try them. We're gonna clean this up and we'll come right back and we're gonna get our salmon going. So now we're gonna get working on the Iraqi salmon. This is a recipe I learned from my mother-in-law, and it's so easy, but so delicious, and nothing like you would expect. We're making this really flavorful tomato sauce that we just spread on top and pop it in the oven, making this so simple to just kind of like knock out and have a really great protein that goes great with a little rice, a nice salad, really anything. It's always gonna fit on your dinner table. So we're gonna get started by mincing up 1 yellow onion. This is kind of like the core flavor of like most recipes I love. It's also I'm using yellow onion here. You could also use whatever alliums you got. It works great with scallions, works great with leeks, works great with really like anything in the onion family. Heating up a little skillet here, we're gonna throw in about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. One of the best parts is like, you just have to buy the salmon. This goes great actually with other proteins too. You can make the sauce and slather it on tofu or chicken or steak or cauliflower. Really the possibilities are endless, including like the type of fish you use. I just love what it does to salmon. Salmon is a super kind of flavorful, high-fat fish, and it just really works well with the acidity of the tomato, the acidity of the lemon zest, all those beautiful spices. And the secret that like everyone tells me is like, this is the only way you get to eat leftover salmon. I hate the way that leftover salmon starts to kind of get a little funky in flavor, and the sauce, it just maintains the quality for days in a way that I can't describe, and you just have to trust me on it. All right, we're gonna throw our onions right into that oil, and we're gonna start to cook this down until nice and soft and jammy and caramelized. It's gonna add so much sweetness to the sauce, which is so great. The key to caramelizing onions is obviously time and patience. Patience is the #1 ingredient missing from every kitchen, including my own. But if you really want to kind of break down those onions, bring out that sweetness, a nice pinch of salt right when you add the onions to the pan, it's gonna help pull out all those juices that are gonna caramelize and get nice and golden and gorgeous. Once this cooks down, we're going to spice it up. This is kind of this version of Iraqi curry powder. What does that mean? Well, for my husband's family, who are Jews that came from Iraq, their job of the community mainly was managing the spice trade with India. So you have this huge influence of Indian culture, flavor, ingredients on Iraqi Jewish cuisine, including their spice blends. So every family had their own version of an Iraqi curry powder, which would just be kind of their master blend that they would use to spice up their dishes. This is kind of a simplified version that I find adds the most flavor to this dish, and it's really easy. And you probably have everything in your pantry already. So we're really looking to build up some color, build up some flavor. All in all, it's gonna take about 8 to 10 minutes. Something that you don't have to babysit this, but don't run away completely either. There is nothing worse, because like once you burn your onions, that burnt flavor is gonna be in everything. For me, the key ingredients that I wanted to pull out was coriander, turmeric, cumin, and cayenne, which adds the perfect combination of like earthiness, sweetness, spice, and that really beautiful, vibrant color from the turmeric. All right, I'm gonna let these onions finish cooking, and when we come back, we're gonna spice it up and get our salmon in the oven. Ooh, look how gorgeous. We're gonna let these cool completely, and then I'm gonna pop them into the fridge just to chill so they slice really beautifully. Now we're gonna crank up that oven and get going on our salmon. Our onions are looking gorgeous. We got some nice color on them. We're not gonna take them to full caramelize because this is gonna be going back in the oven. We don't want anything to burn. But now that we're about this stage, we're gonna add in all of our spices and just toast them up until they're a little bit fragrant. So we have 2 teaspoons of ground coriander, 1 teaspoon of ground cumin, 1 teaspoon of ground turmeric, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. If you are making this for kids, you can omit it. If you are making this for spice lovers, you can bump it up, truly spice it up to your heart's desire. And you just want this to really start to temper in the oil, get beautifully fragrant, color those onions. It's gonna take a minute max. And most importantly, do not forget, we're seasoning as we go. Another little pinch of salt, and I'm gonna add in some freshly cracked black pepper. To our spices, we're gonna throw in a 6-ounce can of tomato paste. Tomato paste, it's like all of the beauty of tomatoes, but really reduced down into something that's thick, super sweet, and it's gonna add in gorgeous flavor and rich umami punch to this sauce. We're just cooking this down for a few minutes to caramelize it. It's gonna get to kind of like the color of rust. It's gonna soak up all those spices, and then honestly, we're done. We just gotta add in some lemon zest and spread it on our salmon. When you're cooking this, we know it's done because everything is nice and well incorporated. The color has gone just 1 shade darker. We're getting into that rusty territory that we're looking for. And again, this is gonna go back into a hot oven, so it's going to continue to get like more caramelized there. So we just wanna take it just that 1 beautiful shade, a little bit richer, a little bit more caramelized, a little bit sweeter. Now that we're here, we're going to finish this off with some lemon zest. I'm going for a full 2 teaspoons, just because I find that adds that beautiful brightness. You think of citrus and salmon, and then just like, it's a no-brainer. You're always gonna add in a squeeze of lemon on your fish. But what this does is it adds that extra oomph. We're gonna do some little wedges on the side, but the lemon zest in the sauce, it makes it so bright. And finally, one last pinch of salt. We wanna make sure that this sauce is nice and seasoned. So I'll typically want this sauce just to cool a little bit. It can still be kind of hot because we're gonna put it on and get it right into the oven. That being said, if you're making this in advance, like you can make this a day or two before you want to serve your salmon, and just keep it in the fridge, let it cool completely. We taste everything. I want to make sure that this is nice and well seasoned. I'm telling you, you're gonna lose your mind. Right over here, we have 3 pounds of salmon. Controversial opinion number 254, I don't like fillets. I'm sorry. It's like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna make little individual portions. You don't know who's coming. At the end of the day, make a whole big thing, and then you could just flake it off, portion it out. It's that much easier when you're doing like large batch cooking or dinner parties. Like, I don't do fillets. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this whole side of salmon and we're gonna season it up with salt and pepper, and then we're gonna slather that tomato sauce on top. So we're roasting this salmon on foil because we're doing a really high temperature, 475. If you're a reader like I am, sometimes not really, you know that paper burns at Fahrenheit 451, so we do not want a fire. We want a nice, beautiful salmon without the flames. So what the skin on does is the skin is gonna stick to the foil and then the salmon's gonna pop right off. It makes it very easy. Do you get crispy skin? No, but you get it that much easier for serving, which is kind of my goal. All right, I'm just gonna dollop the tomato mixture right on top. Use a little spatula and we're just gonna smear it. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's gonna create this gorgeous crust. It's gonna get a little crispy in the oven, but really it's just gonna kind of pack in all of that flavor. Beautiful. Just for good luck, we'll do a little drizzle of olive oil on top. We just popped that salmon in the oven. It's gonna take 15 to 20 minutes until it cooks through. That's 145 degrees with an internal thermometer, which you should own. And then I might put it on the broiler. You can totally do that if you want a little bit more golden crispy bits, but that's optional. And then when we come back, we're gonna serve it all up. All right, our salmon's just about ready. I had already let our brownies cool completely and I popped them in the fridge just to make them really easy to slice. And now it's time to serve it all up. Look at that. Is that not like a showstopper? I'm telling you, every time it hits the table, it's both so fragrant and beautiful. You get like the caramelized onion spices, stunning, but also it smells so good. We're gonna keep it pretty simple for garnish. I'm just going to thinly slice some scallions to go on top, add some greenery as well as a little bit of a fresh oniony bite. And then some lemon wedges to go on the side, a little bit of extra acidity, never killed anyone. You can get fancy and transfer this to a platter. I'm pretty simple. When I'm entertaining, I just want to put this tray right in the oven and then have it out and right onto the table. Makes my life that much easier, makes cleanup that much easier. And honestly, this is gorgeous just as is. Give it one little squeeze for freshness. And now let me grab the brownies and let's slice those up. All right, we have our brownies. I just pulled these out of the fridge, and that's just gonna let us get really nice, clean slices. The best part is we made the dates like kind of give us this perfect guide. Like, can you even with how fudgy this is? This is literally my dream. I mean, it's my mother's nightmare because there are no nuts in them, but for me, this is exactly what I want to see in a brownie. Rich fudge center, you know, it's super dense. We have the little pockets of chocolate. I tell you, it's gonna blow you away. Stunning. Time to give it a nice little try. I mean, look how gorgeous that is. Beautifully cooked, still nice and juicy. I'm gonna grab myself a nice lemon wedge. This would be perfect with just a little side of rice, a nice simple tomato cucumber salad, a great salmon, a great brownie. These are going to be the stars of your next dinner party. I cannot wait to see everyone's faces when they try all the incredible food you've made.